And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Danny Kanell. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where Vols fan 98, an old friend at the tailgate, jumped in at 8:37 a.m. and said, Danny's got to keep his ammo in the drafts for at least one more weekend. Go Vols. SEC with 7 of the 16 in the SEC, in the NCAA tournament, setting a new record, breaking the record previously set by the ACC with 6 teams in 2016. Now we're going to have some of them squaring off, so we'll knock them out of this tournament one way or another. Danny, any response to Vols fan 98?
Yeah, I mean, getting half your teams to advance, it's not bad. Same thing as the Big Ten did as well. They had half. I think the Big 12 had more than half of theirs. And do you know that in 2016, when the ACC had a record 6 advance that just was broken, that they only had 7 teams in? So they had an 85% hit rate. So congrats on getting a lot of teams in and having half them advance. Like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Good luck.
Here's a tweet for you, Danny. The SEC has lost more NCAA tournament games this year than the Big 12 and Big 10 combined.
Ooh. Can I steal that right now?
Yeah, go for it. Send it out there.
Give it to me one more time.
The SEC has lost more games in this tournament, 7, than the Big 10 and the Big 12 combined, 6.
Perfect.
3 each.
That's pretty solid. Tom's been so on top of this that Brett McMurphy cited Tom for his conference scoreboard.
I do this every year. This is my favorite thing. I keep track of conference records in the tournament every year, but this year SEC fans were saying I was only doing it because I hate the SEC.
No, you do
it.
It's
getting really annoying. Like, I get it. Like, I get a lot of stuff, but my mentions, just RIP my mentions, so I just stay off. But it's ridiculous. But what I can't wait is, like, who celebrates at the end? Like, are Alabama fans going to celebrate if Auburn wins? Are Auburn fans going to celebrate if Alabama wins? Like, congrats. That's maybe what I'm saving in some of those drafts. So keep them coming. There will be some comeuppance. You better believe. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it will come up. Let's go.
I did have a couple basketball-related thoughts here that also relate to college football, since the chat wants us to get on to college football. Like, I think the lack of upsets bothers me a lot more in basketball due to, like, all these teams that used to pull upsets, like the the mid majors or whatnot, who used to be more experienced, more mature than some of these, like, loaded up but young P5 schools. I don't miss some of the crazy upsets in college football, although we've actually had more of them in recent years due to some different factors. But, like, I think that's more essential to what the game is, as far as the excitement of capturing casuals in college basketball than it is in college football.
I think the tournament's
taking the day.
It's been fine. It's a fine NCAA tournament. Well, the Sweet 16 looks awesome. Andrew Stern is doing awesome. He's currently in first place in the Cover 3 Bracket Challenge. Reminder, the winner of the Cover 3 Bracket Challenge is going to get a full year of Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment, where you can watch Landman starring Billy Bob Thornton and others. Also, if you are in the top 3, we might have additional prizes for you as well. Currently, we've got a tie for second between Bruce Keene, Joe Hartson, Josh Job, and then right now in 5th, hunting them down, Sam Furman, Ben Drake, Dan Slade. So that's the top of the leaderboard. We had 430 actual brackets, 1.3 thousand signed up for the group, but half of y'all didn't even hit submit or fill it out all the way. Currently, the leader of the hosts is Mr. Tom Fornelli, currently in 48th place. He has 38 correct picks. Danny, Bud, how are you? Have you all found yourself on the leaderboard yet? Do you know where you are?
I do not.
Okay. Bud didn't fill out a bracket. Bud didn't fill out a bracket. Yeah,
I meant to do it. I forgot to do it.
So you are one of the hundreds that
I could see it in his face. He's like,
and forgot to hit submit.
I'm first and last. Yeah,
I'll own this. Look, somebody said, we need to pin the host bracket. We need to razz Chip for having the ACC go too far. Well, you're damn right. I deserve that razzing. Okay, I'm currently in 279th place. All 4 of my Final Four teams are alive. 7 of my 8 Elite 8 teams are alive. However, I had North Carolina in the Sweet 16. I had Louisville in the Sweet 16, and I had Clemson in the Sweet 16. Oh, no. So as all of those teams failed to make it out of the round of 64, that was a big fat L for your boy, which has hurt me in terms of the correct picks and the round 1 and round 2 scores. But because of having all those late teams still alive, you know what I'm actually about to do? I'm about to go on one of those like patented Rory McIlroy backdoor T9s. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you think I'm down and out, and I'm not going to win. I'm not going to get any money, but I will have a respectable finish as long as the Duke Blue Devils win the national championship.
We also call that like a finale, right?
I've
go out early on the final day, like you go from like 25th to 4th, and you collect a big check.
Patrick Cantlay also has done a lot of good, like go really low. What we call them Wikipedia top 10s. You just shows up with the little color, but that's it. So, Danny, how's your bracket?
I am in 128, so I'm doing better than you.
Yep.
I have 3 out of my Final Four teams. Louisville was my Cinderella. They kind of fell apart there. So
in the first game of the whole damn first round.
Yes. A lot of people watching. Yeah, that was not a great look. Pat Kelsey getting, teed up for bottles thrown on the court. It was a little bit of a mess. But I had Clemson in the Elite 8 too, I think.
Listen.
But I still have 3 out of the 4 Final Four teams. And I
Danny,
still have the eventual national champion in there.
You and I going too hard on the ACC and getting burned for it, a tale as old as time. This has been going on for years. So sincere thank you to all of you who signed up. We asked you to sign up, and many, many of you did. Again, currently Andrew Stern, who's got 42 correct picks so far, and the Florida Gators as his champion. That he is who everybody is chasing. All right. We have a lot of quarterback battles to turn your attention to. So coming up on the other side, we begin in the Big Ten with the quarterback battles to watch, our thoughts, and more. Next.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! No! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, going to get rocking with a little bit of a thought starter that our own friend Jerry B provided in the tailgate. Will quarterback battles become a novelty in the NIL transfer portal era?
I think he's on to
the whole
something.
Show's dedicated to it.
Yeah, no, but I think the fact what he's referencing is it going to be the highest paid guy is going to be the starter. And I think he's on to something there, because I do think you're going to see, unless it's egregiously bad, the guy that makes the most money, the big portal signing, will get the first opportunity and probably multiple games to go. I don't know if that's exactly what happened at Florida State, because it wasn't like it was an overwhelming, back up the truck type of money for DJU. But my goodness, it took forever to get him out of there, even though it was pretty evident that he was not going to get it done. And then, you saw some of the backup, but I would have gone to Cromenhawk a little bit earlier.
What do you
I think
think?
Danny kind of nailed it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if spring battles will become a novelty, right? Because the spring portal, I think there are still really some battles going on there.
Yeah.
But are they real battles? But we've said this for a long time. Like, every coach loves to hype up a battle because it does. It makes your players rise to the occasion. They have to earn it. They have to go there. So I think there's oftentimes been QB battles that were covered like they were really tight and very even. But I think most of the times the coaches have a pretty good inclination who they're going to have. I think that's one way we've discussed them on here before the portal and NIL is, all right, is this really a battle, or is he just saying this, publicly? Wasn't Jameis in a battle with that was,
with Jacob Coker?
Yeah, with Coker. Like, was that real? Probably not.
I think
not super real, but Coker played well. And he did win the national title at Alabama too, right?
Yeah.
No, he lost. He was the starter when they lost to Clemson, right? In 16 in Tampa.
No, he won one. Coker won one.
He won in 15.
Yeah.
Coker won in 15. Okay.
Jalen Hurts was a freshman for the 16.
That's
team.
right. Okay. So Coker was on the Bama team that onside kicked.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that game was in, is it a Fiesta Bowl?
Glendale.
It was one of them bowls.
Because the pass to the little white kid Clemson threw was in Tampa.
Correct.
When Clemson crushed him, it was in Santa Clara.
Correct.
So the onside kick was an outdoor. It was an outdoor onside kick.
Right.
So it wouldn't have been Dallas or New Orleans. So it had to be Fiesta.
Oh,
okay.
Or Rose Bowl?
No, they wouldn't have
I
played.
don't think they ever played a Rose Bowl.
They've never played a Rose Bowl national championship? That's not true.
No. Bama definitely has when they played Texas. That was a Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think they played Clemson in the Rose Bowl.
My brain doesn't think like the camera angle for the Rose Bowl is the right one that we have.
What are you talking about? Which one?
All right, hold on. No.
Because
This is rabbit hole.
all right.
All right, Jackson says Arizona. When I was pulling all this together, I found a lot of commentary, which is schools who say we got our guy, to the point of like NIL transfer portal era, that someone is arriving, someone is new, someone who's never played there, but that the expectation around the program was we went out to get this guy to go be our starting quarterback. He should be our starting quarterback. And so in that way, the quarterback battle or the controversy or the debate for people like us is, definitely lessened a little bit, but that doesn't mean he won't go get hurt. That doesn't mean he won't go stink it up. And that doesn't mean that they won't look and then all of a sudden say that they're going to go out into the spring portal after spring practice is done.
I think the quarterback battles depend on the school. Like, I think there'll be plenty of QB battles at schools people don't care about. But when it comes to like the top schools, the guys that are competing for national titles and conference titles, they're going to tend to have either like veteran transfers that have come in for the starting job, and maybe they pretend that they're like last year, Will Howard competing for the Ohio State job, or they lose that guy and they've got the 5-star freshman who sat on the bench last year who is going to, compete for the job this fall. Your Arch Mannings, your Julian Sayans, your Dante Moores, that kind of thing. So if you're Purdue, you're probably still going to have real quarterback battles.
Right. But if you are
Ohio State, probably not.
We'll say, hey, well, let's begin right there. Okay. Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to start in the Big Ten. Is that absolutely set? Is this Julian Sayans' job and they're going to call it a battle? What are the chances that he doesn't end up winning it?
Does he get hurt? I think it's his job.
I think it's Sayans' job as well.
Okay.
I won't say which one, and there's enough Florida kids on that team who won't give it away, but I did speak to a pretty good player for Ohio State last year who catches passes, and this was before this season. And I was like, who do you like? He's like, well, Sayans throws it the best by far. And he was obviously like, it was his first semester on campus. So I've kind of had that in the back of my mind. Mikey and I already shot the reel. It's like, hey, like, why didn't Ohio State go to the transfer portal for a quarterback? Although we know there were rumors that like if Ewers was going to come back, they would have been interested, maybe in reuniting that. But ultimately, I think there was some Beck smoke for a little bit, but I don't think that was actually real. I think it's Sayans. I mean, Sayans was like 70% completions in high school. It was like a 10-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He threw like 80 tutties. He was like very, very good, traditional, not a great athlete. I think he moves in the pocket okay if you watch his high school stuff. He is tiny though. I mean, he is probably, how big's Sean White? Remember the kid from South Florida that went to Auburn? I would compare them like frame wise,
like 6 feet.
Yeah, like Sayans is not real big, and he is not broad. I mean, he is kind of narrow, so the ball's gonna have to get out quick. Which in high school, it came out on time.
Since the moment Julian Sayans has stepped on campus after changed his mind going from Bama to Columbus, everything you've heard has been positive. Like, it's buzzworthy. Like, everyone's like, ooh, he might be the best guy on the roster. Even last year when Will Howard was taking him to a national championship, which still, like, and I've seen great practice players, and it is a great sign, but you still don't know if he's going to do it. But that's why I do think he must be great in practice, which is really good. So, like, that's why I think it's his job to lose, because I think he's crushed it. I think he's doing the right things. Now, can you go out and do it, in real time with a lot of, missing, pieces of the puzzle that were there last year, but he's still got one really good one on the outside. And he's got a new offensive coordinator calling plays for him in Brian Hartline. So I think I feel pretty confident it's his job and he'll be the guy out there under center, week 1.
Is Lincoln Kienholz good enough to lose this job and then go take over another starting gig at a P4, like in time for the season to start?
I don't know.
That might be the more interesting part of this battle.
The loser goes somewhere else.
So you're
like,
going to
how good is this kid? Like, how
you're
good
going to
is
totally put
practice
Tavian
film?
St. Clair to the side, and you're just going to say, like, we're just going to kind of get him ready, get him to go. Because I'll tell you what, when it comes to physical tools, we don't have any of those questions with him.
Correct. Tavian St. Clair is built, but also he is pretty raw. Like, I completely understand and agree with the rating on him, but he is very raw. So I don't think that St. Clair is very likely to come out and win this job as a true freshman. I think from a polish standpoint, Sayin was much more polished coming out of high school than St. Clair. Also, like, Ohio doesn't have spring football, and I think that kind of like hinders some of these kids who play in Ohio.
Oh, interesting. Like, they don't even do like spring practice or workouts or anything?
Yeah, but I don't know if they don't do workouts, but I'm pretty sure they don't do like full on like spring ball. So you get fewer reps. And he's also not a kid who has played a ton of 7-on. You know what I mean? Like, when Jameis would miss, some stuff with baseball, he also didn't play a lot of 7-on, but he played a little bit, and I'm just trying to like go back in terms of like multi-sport guys who didn't play 7-on. I think 7-on helps you as far as your readiness. It probably doesn't help you with your ultimate ceiling all that much, but it probably helps you with your floor as far as just you need more reps, just more ball, more throws, like more working with guys.
If you're Lincoln Kienholz, would you rather just stay?
Oh, what's he? He's like, this is his second or third year?
And then you'd be able, because basically you'd be sitting there.
Sayin's got a lot of eligibility left. So
Right.
like
Kienholz was after Devin Brown.
Yes.
He's the 2023 class.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's going to be at least a sophomore here, maybe even a redshirt sophomore, whatever. So I don't know, man. Like there's no saying he can't stick around. He might, because like Bud's mentioned, Sayin's not huge. Like, injury risk is there. You could find yourself playing sooner rather than later. You could also see a situation where I know they open with Texas, but you could see a situation where it's still somewhat open going into the season. You still maybe think you've got a shot to take that gig, but I don't know. It's just, regardless of what each kid thinks or how they are or who they are, like, Arch Manning is very much the exception to the rule these days. You do not see a lot of guys who have the skill to be Power 4 starters sticking around waiting for a Power 4 gig to open up for them. They kind of just go find one.
Good point. All right, so we'll say right now Julian Sayin in the front. Again, Ohio State, Julian Sayin, that's kind of been the way this is going, but they are the reigning national champions. They are replacing the starting quarterback among many other starters from that Buckeyes squad. Now their rival. Here's what we got. We've got the mystery door, and then we've got the nice, easy moving sidewalk. The nice, easy moving sidewalk will get you to where you need to go at a steady pace. Will not get there fast, and you might not get there on time, but Mikey Keene can keep you moving right along. However, you do have Bryce Underwood, who might be worth every penny. How do we think this plays out in Ann Arbor?
Is the question when and not if?
Correct.
Yes.
Can it happen now? Does it need to happen in August? Does it need to happen in October? Like, those are especially with the way that Michigan's season starts. Is Bryce Underwood ready to go? What do they want the offense to be? The pieces around it. Like, there's a lot that hinges on what ends up happening at the quarterback position.
Well, right. I mean, you have New Mexico to open, which is friendly. And then you go play Venables in Oklahoma.
Right.
And like
in Norman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, Venables for a young quarterback, on Kubiak and McElroy show, I've heard McElroy talk about how Tua discussed like just how much Venables saved for that game when Clemson blitzed them, Alabama in 2018 or whatever year that was for the Natty. And like,
what stadium?
Picks,
in Santa Clara, we have covered this. Let's keep moving. All right, let's go.
And basically like how Tua said, like, and I guess the staff said the same thing, like, Clemson just ran different looks out of these, different coverages out of these looks than they had shown like all year, and you got to think that Oklahoma's going to have something schemed up pretty good for this on defense. Like that's a game that you could lose with a true freshman playing quarterback, even if he's really good. Whereas if your defense is still nails, Oklahoma's offense might suck too. Now, everybody thinks it's going to be fixed, but it may not be totally fixed, especially not if Michigan is actually good on defense. So, if it's not that, do you play them against Central Michigan to get them ready before the start of conference season? Then you go Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC, Washington. Like none of those are guaranteed wins. You'll be favored in 3 of the 4 probably. But
my gut here is Sharon Moore came up under Jim Harbaugh. I don't remember if Sharon was the OC that season or the shadow OC that season, but I go back to J.J. McCarthy's freshman year. They had Cade McNamara, the old veteran transfer guy, coming in. There's no questioning that J.J. McCarthy was the more talented of the two. But who did they have start? McNamara, and they had McCarthy come in certain packages. I think Mikey Keene coming from Fresno with his experience being the veteran, this is a team that, a tough start to the season. Mikey Keene will be your starter early in the year, and Underwood will come in packages. Maybe if the season derails, they throw him out there to get experience and become like the starter. But I think Keene will be your starter, and you will see doses of Underwood, and that will increase as the year goes on. And then the plan will be for next year, it'll be the Bryce Underwood show. That's my gut. I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but that's what I think is going to happen.
2 quarterbacks. I think you'll see them both throughout the first month of the season. Even against Oklahoma, I think you'll have a package for Bryce Underwood. It might be very small. It might be similar to what we saw Arch Manning do with Texas at times throughout the year. But I do think you'll see 2 quarterbacks. If you only see one for Michigan, I would bet it would be Bryce Underwood. Otherwise, I think you'll see 2.
I mean, Sharon Moore showed that he is more than happy to play do-si-do with the quarterbacks this year.
Exactly.
So, do you think?
And much like we've talked about, they don't ask the quarterback to do a ton. It's kind of like don't screw it up, make a few plays here or there, don't turn it over. Like that's why I think you have a better opportunity if you're Underwood. If things are going good, he's grasping the system, they're more likely to give him the opportunity.
Also, I'm not saying he's incredible, but if they had Mikey Keene last year, I don't think they're playing musical chairs. I think they had 3 MAC quarterbacks on that roster last year.
Hey, one of them beat Alabama though, and Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? All right. So based on my gathering leading into this, it does seem that Ryan Day has indicated they do not plan to go back into the transfer portal in the spring window. That the quarterbacks they have are the quarterbacks they're going to run with for 2025. If Sharon Moore has said that, I've missed it. Do you think Michigan's done? We're going to ask this for a couple of these teams.
Yeah.
You think Michigan's done?
I think it's Keene or Underwood.
Who would if you're coming into to transfer to Michigan right now to start, you gotta really have some goods to think that you are going to hold off Bryce Underwood for all his talent. And guys, he I know it's some 7 on, but he put up crazy numbers in high school as well. Like at the OT7 championships there in Orlando, he had an incompletion, but it was a freaking dime, and the kid just dropped it. Like he basically went 22 of 22, and they scored every single drive and needed to score every single drive to win the damn thing. And then hit a crazy standing backflip. And I'm like, okay. A lot of times the kids who do that kind of stuff, like the backflip afterwards, don't also have that kind of completion stuff. He's not Cam Newton, and I don't want to put that on him.
Put it on him.
But he's because Cam is just bigger. Cam is just built like a damn.
He's a defensive lineman. You see Cam next to Julius Peppers. If you ever next to
same
Cam,
dude, yeah.
the calves are that's weird.
Yeah,
but he's probably the closest quarterback prospect we've seen to Cam, and he's not Cam. Okay, he's not that level, but he is really damn good.
I see the question.
Who's going to hold him off? Who's going to come in? Who's actually going to be on the market? It's I got this.
I think that I think it's more of the idea that with some of these programs, you could tamper your way to go poach somebody if you wanted to. If what you saw in spring practice was so concerning that you're like, oh gosh, we've got problems. We need to, go and bring in another option here. But
But I think that's why you've got Mikey Keene. You've already got your insurance option. And I mean, unless he's really bad, but I don't think he will be. I think he'll be fine.
Like when Alabama panicked after watching Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson, and then they went and got a lacrosse player. And that didn't fix things either. So,
boy, I was going to say Milroe's pro day. Oh boy, some team's gonna make a mistake on that one.
So we'll get to the Crimson Tide also here in a little bit. We'll round out some of the Big Ten, the sort of headliners of note. With the Oregon Ducks, Dante Moore, Austin Novosad. Anyone got to lean one way or the other, or what are you keeping your eyes on out there in Eugene?
I think this is going to be Dante Moore's job.
Okay.
I will say, though, that, like, I know some people who have talked to guys on that coaching staff.
They like Novosad.
Well, they do hype Novosad, and to people that I don't think they would have actually a real reason to do so. You know what I mean? Like I don't think see what they gain from talking about how much they love Novosad to these folks. So it wouldn't totally shock me, I guess, if Novosad won that job. And if he doesn't, if they're actually right, then this is one to watch, I think, for a spring window. Like if he puts on really good film and doesn't win the job because Dante Moore was simply better than him, then that could be a guy we look to for the spring portal window.
I don't know about you guys. I think this one might be one of the more real battles that's taken place where it kind of is open. I was doing some research on this, and Dan Lanning and Will Stein were saying how, and it might have been one of the quarterbacks too, was saying how they're trying to split the reps as evenly as possible to give everybody the same opportunity. Now, granted, when you see that in the NFL, it means you're 100% a real competition. This also could be trying to keep somebody after the spring from leaving, keeping everybody in limbo. But I do think because there's only so many reps to go around, like if you have a lean towards your starter, you want to get him as many looks as possible against the first team defense, against the second team defense, whatever drill they're running. So you get the experience under center, and that's the best way to learn. When you're losing some of those reps and splitting those with somebody else, I do think that's an indicator of a more balanced competition, like a fair competition.
I don't know. Maybe I've been watching too much March Madness. Whatever the coaching staff says about Novosad, I will take their word for it as his ability. It's just he looks like a point guard on Creighton. He doesn't look like a quarterback to me. He's got a name of a point guard on Creighton. You know what I'm saying? Like, just vibes-wise, I don't know. Like, Dante Moore, that's a quarterback to me. Austin Novosad, three-point shooter. Gritty as hell, first in the gym every day, last one out. I don't know. We'll see.
Hold on.
Look at him. Like that name, Austin Novosad, and his face and haircut. That is a point guard on Creighton. You can't tell me that's not real.
Our friend Quantrell, before the show, I remembered him saying this. What are some of the best quarterback names you've come across? I think Aaron Noland is up there. I also remember Tom making a comment about dudes with the name George not being good quarterbacks. Austin Novosad, not a good quarterback name when compared to Dante Moore. Quarterback name vibe.
Austin is a fine name for a quarterback. That can work. The Novosad part just doesn't really sell me.
Novosad!
Yeah, exactly. Gus can scream that as he drills a three against Providence on a Wednesday night in January.
Gunnar Keel. Did you not believe in Gunnar Keel?
Gunnar Keel's a cool quarterback name.
That's a great quarterback name.
Was Gunnar Keel the one that Les Miles said didn't have the chest cavity for the competition?
Yes, that's correct.
I still want to try for boys just so I can name a kid Cannon.
Cannon Kanell.
I mean, that's
hold on. Would it have an O or a Y in it?
Wait, why would it have a Y?
N-N-Y-N.
Like
oh,
Cameron or
Cameron?
Well,
I have Cameron.
That's
she is R-Y-N.
I think what I'm saying. Was it O or Y?
I'd go O. I'd spell it exactly like Cannon.
That's the right answer for a quarterback. All right,
I want to have a T-shirt made up with a cannon on it that says Cannon Kanell.
Austin Novosad curling off a screen. Letting it fly at the end of the shot clock. I'm not going to get over that. And Austin Novosad might not either. All right. Coming up on the other side, we turn our attention to, again, another very interesting real competition for a national title contender, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They've got some good in-house options. And then we move to the SEC where Alabama has a battle between some capable players. We've got an offensive coordinator change, lots to get into, and more next.
I feel home when I see the faces that remember my own. When I'm with my friends, I feel home.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, Andrew, before we got going, said, I think the Notre Dame battle is interesting. If CJ Carr cannot separate from the other two, I would be more concerned than optimistic. Ryan also saying it's got to be Carr. If it's Angeli, I think Notre Dame is in for a long year. I marked those comments, not because I think they're wrong. It's spring practice. We're just kind of going through this, but I'm a little bit higher on Steve Angeli than it sounds like some
Angeli.
of our friends okay.
Sounds like the Fighting Irish faithful, just throwing a guy down the river who was loyal to your program, didn't transfer when Riley Leonard came in, stuck around, saved you in the Final Four in the end of the first half of that game to make sure you come back. Just no loyalty whatsoever.
The mystery box, the lure.
Oh,
too strong.
So what do we think in South Bend? Kenny Minchie also is there in the mix as well. How do we think this ends up playing out for Notre Dame?
I feel like this is a real battle.
Right. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't like Angeli. I don't think is terrible, guys.
They trusted him throwing the ball more than they trusted Riley Leonard. I mean, he started winging it around. The passing offense woke up.
So I'm saying he might not be like a first-round pick kind of guy, but I think Angeli's plenty good enough to be the quarterback at Notre Dame.
If CJ Carr beats him out, it's time to get really excited about CJ Carr because I think we have enough of a baseline to know that Steve Angeli is at least a decent quarterback for a college football playoff team. So if you get a guy that actually beats him out in Carr, who's younger, then it's oh, okay. We might have something here. Like Notre Dame might have a quarterback. Not. I mean, Leonard was a great fit for them last year, but obviously couldn't throw the ball 10 yards downfield. It was tough to watch.
Do you think, because I agree, I think Angeli's the floor. I think he's the insurance option. I think Carr's the upside. What do you think happens if they, this is one where I think they might try to draw it out because what if Carr wins it, looks the part in the spring? Does Angeli go somewhere else, or is he just a Notre Dame lifer who's already shown his loyalty to the school?
I'm not going to call anybody a lifer in 2025.
Right.
Yeah. Because what year is he?
I think he's a junior. I think.
I don't know.
What?
I mean, I would just think if Angeli doesn't win the starting job, I would bet there'd be interest elsewhere. It's just, I don't know, what does he value? Maybe if he hasn't graduated yet, maybe he wants to get his Notre Dame degree and then figure it out from there as a grad transfer. I don't know.
I'm always on top of it, 100% reliable. Tailgate saying he's going to have his degree in May. So
then if he doesn't win the job and he's a grad, then I would expect he leaves.
In that case,
because then you've still been pretty damn loyal. You stuck around and got your degree.
Yeah, in that case, you definitely extend this to the fall. Mm-hmm. You have your blue gold showcase, and you come to the microphone, say, "I love what we saw from all three of these guys." That now they're gonna hit off-season workouts, come back in the fall, and we'll let them continue to compete on into fall camp. That'd be my expectation.
Damn, True Media is being really slow. Somebody in the chat said his sack avoidance stuff was Angeli's was problematic. Which my question is, if it's compared to Riley, everybody's is problematic. Riley's that was the best thing Riley Leonard did was avoid pressure.
Yeah.
Not that Notre Dame gave up a ton of pressure, but he was an absolute wizard at making guys miss within the pocket or escaping it and just getting out and making something decent happen. So
Notre Dame blew the doors off so many opponents last year. Steve Angeli got a lot of burn. And when he would get in there, he was not necessarily just handing the ball off and looking forward to punt. They would remain aggressive, and he would be pushing the ball down the field in blowouts. I thought that was, to me, an endorsement of the trust that they have in him to go with, as you mentioned, Danny, the performance against Penn State where he had to come in and then was able to go out there and step up in the moment. I seem to be on the other side of the Steve Angeli haters, of which there seem to be many, to think that this is a player who can still get Notre Dame to where Notre Dame wants to go. I don't think that they need more to be able to make the college football playoff and go make a run at this thing again.
I just want to put out Steve Angeli was sacked 5 times all year. 3 times in the game against Purdue, in which he came in and they were up by 1,000, and twice against Penn State in the playoff. So the guy that might be the number 1 pick got to him. He doesn't know how to avoid sacks. Like, come on, guys. There's a little bit of confirmation bias there. He got sacked twice against Penn State. He has no idea how to avoid them.
Yeah.
Even with your offensive line had kind of been torn to shards by then.
So, like, Bud, what is the book on CJ Carr? When you say, like, if CJ Carr wins this job, well, what would he have shown to separate himself from Angeli?
I thought he made a lot of high-level throws when I watched him in high school. Like, he does have a good arm. He's able to actually make some of the more difficult stuff. I think he has more physical ability than Angeli. So if the mental side gets there, obviously like a very competitive kid, like if that catches up, if he's going in the right place with the ball often enough that the Irish can trust him, because they're going to be really good on defense again. And with Jeremiah Love and that offensive line, like you're going to have a serious run game again. But I think that the potential for this offense with Carr is higher, maybe by a lot.
Fun fact.
Yep.
Just passing grades, PFF-wise, limited sample sizes. Steve Angeli was the highest graded passer at Notre Dame last season. Tyler Buckner was second. Riley Leonard was third. Just maybe we shouldn't be so mean to Steve Angeli, Irish fans. Maybe he's better than you think. Maybe it's just anti-Italian discrimination going on here. Huh. Typical.
The sack to pressure numbers loaded finally. Totally agree with you, Tom. Like this is bad, but it's also such a limited sample. I don't think there's
in a blowout and against Penn State, he got sacked.
Don't kick the guy with Angel in his name to the curb. Okay. You want that guy in your locker room. Let's go. All right, let's turn our attention to the Southeastern Conference. Let's start with Alabama. The Alabama Crimson Tide have, I think, a pretty interesting quarterback battle. One that even might have differing opinions here. So you've got the guy who's been around since before Jalen Milroe was even named the starter, right? Ty Simpson and former 5-star prospect, this, that, or the other, and he's still there. You've got Austin Mack, who Kalen DeBoer recruited to Washington. He followed DeBoer. And also, don't forget, new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, or returned offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, also a part of that recruitment as well. You also have a very, very promising freshman in Keelan Russell. Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell. What do we think happens with the Crimson Tide?
This is one that I think a lot of people thought it would be Simpson, right?
Yeah.
And now there's some positive reports about Mack, and I really don't think we can write off Russell. So, I mean, this is maybe legitimately a 3-way battle.
I think so. I think Simpson, there's got to be some, like, we talk about practice versus performance and like all the different ways and the things that we try to do to read into what coaches are telling us, what beat writers are telling us. Ty Simpson cannot be this much of a quarterback battle in this many spring practices and be bad. Right?
I like that logic there.
Like I can't believe that all of these years against all of these different starting quarterback competitors, you at this time of year, you are hearing people, which means a couple of things. Like my spidey senses would say, number one, there is promise there that coaches or people around the program are just trying to like will or speak into existence or squeeze that olive. Like we know we just need him to flip a switch. We just need him to take that extra step. But then the fact that he's not showing up on the field in a Crimson Tide uniform as QB1 year after year after year, why does that not happen? So can it be this spring? And if not, then I think we start to get into that conversation with an Austin Mack, Keelan Russell type situation.
I don't know who wins this job. I don't think it'll be Ty Simpson, though. I think if you just look at the way things tend to work throughout history, Ty Simpson's been there a long time. Ty Simpson did not come to Alabama under this current staff. Kalen DeBoer took over the job last year. Austin Mack followed him from Washington. There's a reason he wanted him to come with. He clearly likes him. They get Russell as a recruit. These are two of their choices to be running their offense. Not saying Ty Simpson doesn't have a chance. I would just be very surprised if he wins this job.
So, I mean, whoever gets this job is going to have a hell of a receiving core to throw to.
Yes.
Like other than Ohio State, who would you rather have receiver wise than this team? Because you get Bernard in the slot. They went out and got Horton from Miami to go be their big body outside guy. It lets Williams continue to be your move guy, and they can set him up for favorable matchups, which DeBoer does really well.
Right.
I mean, tight end, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in their tight ends yet, but I do think that it kind of leans more towards the thrower. But all three of these guys can throw pretty well, so maybe there's no actual like edge to be gained as far as intel there as far as throwing. But I think the passing offense is going to be back in a major way in Alabama. It reminds me of what he had at Washington.
I'm just going to play the odds based on history and say I'd rather have LSU's wide receiver core. I don't even know who it is.
All right, off the top of my head, I went to
seeing
Auburn.
Those contracts that have been signed the last few months. Give me LSU's receivers.
I was going to say Auburn and Clemson just to like participate in the conversation, but I get where you're going, Bud, on that.
With Ty Simpson, it could be a case, and I think this is kind of what you're alluding to, Chip. Like, I think he probably works really hard. I think he's a great teammate. Probably practices awesome, or else he wouldn't be in all these. But you want it to wait. You want to see it when the lights are on. And when full contact drills, whatever it is, when you get your opportunity, you want to see it. And it just feels like, because he's had a couple opportunities, hasn't really stepped up and really taken hold of it. So, I don't know. The Austin Mack thing I think is really interesting. That guy's a specimen.
Mm-hmm.
He's long. He's got a cannon. Starting to see him flash more in practice. And I also wonder if he's somebody reunited with Ryan Grubb, if that's one thing that helps him kind of, the familiarity that he's got with his old, offense coordinator all the way back at Washington. Now they're reunited. If that relationship could be a positive factor for him.
Zach in the tailgate saying Ty Simpson looking like a Ty Thompson, always in the battle, but just can never quite punch your way through.
Maybe Ty's a name we have to add to the list.
No ties and no
No
Georges.
ties.
TAI, you're still open. I'll still give you a chance. But TY, I think, is proven to be a bust.
No, TAI as a pass catcher is a
Ty
proof.
Streets is great. Yeah, but
Ty Detmer.
Oh, man, you're right. But it's been.
But he didn't pan out in the NFL.
That's a 1980. It's
feeling.
been 40 years since we had a Ty. I think that history has shown Ty is washed up.
Hey, I ain't naming my boy Ty. I'm naming him Winner. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So what about Russell? What's the chance? Like, what are the chances Russell crashes through this door and ends up winning the job? Because if Russell grabs hold of this thing in the spring, one of these two guys is hitting the portal, and then all of a sudden now we're starting to look at some dominoes. Like we might be looking at an Alabama quarterback hitting the portal anyway, regardless of what happens.
There's no way Bama keeps all three of these guys on the roster.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, that would be wild to me. I don't think Russell can win the job in spring. I think he would need to continue to play well in the fall. I mean, it's not impossible, certainly, but I will say, like, if you guys watched the All-American game that Russell got like destroyed in, that was the first year that they have the juniors and seniors mixed, and like the kid who was trying to block for him just was not ready to play in that type of format. Like I do think sacks are a quarterback stat within reason, but like the absolute offensive lineman doesn't touch anybody type sacks are kind of more offensive lineman to me. Like for a free runner when it's supposed to be accounted for is kind of not on you as the QB. I'm sure I see Danny Nye there. Good athlete, but man, he really throws the ball exceptionally well. And like competitive kid. I loved what I saw of him, and he's just a really, really talented player.
Anecdotally, the best way immediately to decide if it's on the offensive line or the quarterback is if the quarterback is screaming at somebody when he's being picked up, it was on the offensive line.
Since you were talking about all-star games, I played in the Florida-Georgia all-star game, and so some of those offensive linemen are just not ready. The defensive linemen, especially in coming out of high school, like senior years, are way ahead of the game. I was getting killed. I was supposed to be like, big time recruit for Florida State. It was awful. The other quarterback on Florida's team was Tommy Frazier. I was like, why don't we just let him out there? Because the coach is like, we need to get you some more reps. Don't you want to get back in there? I'm like, no. He's doing just great.
He's built for playing behind this line. I am not.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, God.
Let's look at the Danny Kanell, Tommy Frazier sack avoidance PFF. Somebody take
That might
that
be the
up.
biggest disparity that you've ever put next to each other.
What about the Georgia Bulldogs? So Gunnar Stockton obviously comes in for Carson Beck in the SEC championship game, but they are not able to punch their way through once they make it to the college football playoff, falling short against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. I guess he's running QB1, but I think we've got a situation here where I'm sounding like a Notre Dame fan. I don't know if I'm ready to like throw Stockton out there. Other options based on what I can tell, Ryan Polisi and Ryan Montgomery. So do either of these Ryans end up taking down Gunnar there in Athens?
It would not shock me if Puglisi makes a run at this. I would be pretty surprised if Montgomery is that guy as a freshman. I don't know that he has that kind of upside right now. They might like some of his long-term possibilities, but Puglisi has some real juice. I know, like, he threw the ball in baseball. He was like a mid-90s kid, apparently. So, like, that's obviously pretty legit. I think I don't know. Like, I don't think Stockton sucked. He played pretty damn well against Texas, but I mean, maybe he's just that dude. Georgia will certainly have a lot better receivers this year, I think, than last year, because you're not asking some of these guys to play roles, by which you never intended, assuming that, Georgia's guys are on the roster, are still on the roster, come fall. But like last year, the Mississippi State kid who they had to boot, and then the dude they took from Miami who ended up like not being able to play for a while because of the arrest thing, which I think got resolved.
Young?
Yeah.
Colby Young.
Isn't Colby back? And he went out and got Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. So like whoever whoever is throwing the ball is going to have better guys to throw to.
First of all, Puglisi, we know he wouldn't start at Notre Dame. The Irish fans would hate him.
All this anti-Italian discrimination in South Bend.
My thought process here is, like, we've seen Kirby tend to lean on the veteran guy more. Like, I think Kirby values experience, particularly at that position. And we've seen him over the years go that way. So I would think Stockton, because he's been there, has that kind of edge. But if Puglisi plays well enough to kind of earn his way onto the field, that wouldn't shock me. But I do think come that first game of the season, it'll be Gunnar Stockton, because I do think he showed some pretty interesting flashes when called upon. I think he's got a very strong arm. I think he has a lot to learn about harnessing it and how to use it. But I do think that he's got that kind of moxie factor that we've seen Georgia really appreciate in their quarterbacks. So I think he'll get it. I think he'll be the starter to begin the season. We'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the nod. I think this is right up Kirby's alley, kind of chip on the shoulder guy, because you have so many guys that are 5 stars, player of the years, like future NFL prospects. To have your quarterback with that little chip on your shoulder, kind of as a leader, the speaker for the offense, and really step up as a leader on the team. I mean, the way those players talked about him last year was, you see a guy they were going to rally around, and it made you wonder what they thought of Carson Beck. I think we probably know that answer now, but I think it's probably his job week 1. It's kind of like you got to screw it up, in order for him not to be the starter.
Tiger, Georgia, Rabun County, just like that was such a.
He's not driving no Lambo around campus. You can almost guarantee you that. But somebody I think even said that, was like, he's a Ford F-150 guy. And it was a badge of honor that he wasn't. There's something to that.
Yeah. The culture clash. Ryan Polisi from Avon, Connecticut against Gunnar Stockton.
That's my
from
old
Tiger,
neighborhood.
Georgia. Let's see what happens. Shout out to Caroline Davenport.
Connecticut Yankee in Athens.
Guaranteed the quarterback position will be less douchey.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
It's true. Adjust your power ratings, your Chipalytics and the Bud Bot. Plug it in. We are taking the douche levels. You got to power it, throttle it down, as they say for the Bulldogs.
Maybe we'll save this for a different episode, because I think we have enough here for like multiple episodes on this. But Dylan Bell, who I think can go back to being a guy they scheme open, not have to run real routes. Colby Young's back. They got Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. You get Zach Branch, who's a different kind of scheme it open for him type guy. Like, who do they really miss off this team? I mean, like, you might miss Arian, but he's not that much faster than Zach
You're just talking
Branch.
about pass catchers, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think they miss some offensive linemen. And I think that like part of
yes.
Yeah, part of the Georgia, when we're talking about the small margins that take Georgia from being a monster to just being one of the very best teams in college football, being able to run the football effectively behind a good offensive line with good backs, that was something that I felt was missing. And I think that that's being more effective in the ground game is on the checklist of what I would like to see Georgia do better if they're going to get back up to monster status.
And your two tight ends don't suck. Like Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp are both back.
Yeah.
So I like who you're throwing to.
All right. In the tailgate, really early, 8 a.m., our friend Jim jumped in and he had it. He said, underrated QB battle, Caden Salter and Juju Lewis in Boulder. He's absolutely right. Coach Prime, as Colorado is even considering whether they can play a spring game against another team. We'll see if that comes to fruition before maybe we expand on that. Maybe we'll do a live reaction to the Colorado-Syracuse spring game. Who knows?
I'm here for it.
TBD. I am too. I think it's a pretty cool suggestion here. So what do we think?
That day.
What?
Enjoy it.
Here we go. So what do we think ends up happening here as Colorado goes into the post-Shedeur Sanders era with two gifted players? Caden Salter did not play as well last season. You know, like he just a lot of things didn't go well for Liberty as a team. But Caden Salter individually, big step back from where he performed when Liberty was winning the conference and making the Fiesta Bowl is in the New Year's Six. Juju Lewis, obviously, highly touted prospect coming out of high school, still a blue chip even as he arrives. What do we think happens there?
So assuming Salter is like happier, and I think that was part of it last year, right? He wanted to transfer to Auburn. I don't think he actually had the academics done when Auburn needed him to have them done. And so it meant that he could not transfer to Auburn. And obviously, like, if your employer all of a sudden realizes, wait, you actually don't have any leverage to go anywhere, we don't really have to compete, like NIL-wise, they're not going to break the bank for you if they know you're unhappy anyway and you can't leave. So I think that was kind of part of what was going on last year. So I'm not out on Caden Salter as far as that. But, like, assuming he's, like, focused and, you know, in like his head is in it, then I think he has a pretty good chance. But I will say Juju is very much like a high floor quarterback. I would be surprised if he sucks in college. I think the ceiling is an open question because of the size and maybe some of the physical limitations that he has. But I mean, Juju's a guy who I think comes to compete right away for Colorado. So this is a battle that I think you have to watch.
What's interesting to me is how often will they run the ball? Will they go from running it 5% of the time to actually having balance on offense? And if so, why?
Well, maybe because you lose all those receivers too.
I don't know. Maybe. You don't have
I mean, not all of them, but
stats.
Horn's gone, LeJonte's gone, Hunter's gone, Miller's back. Who are we missing here?
They're all gone for the most part. But I do think Salter probably has an edge in that if he's transferring in, I don't think anybody's guaranteed anything, but I think that there's kind of a expectation. Like if you're bringing in a transfer, that means that you kind of aren't completely in love with your options in-house, I think is safe to say. So I do think Salter's got a decent chance of winning the job. I do think his experience will help him in this, and kind of like what Bud mentioned, I also, not just whether he's mentally checked out, but I also think maybe this offense will be better suited to him because, I mean, he came up at Liberty under Hugh Freeze. Jimmy Chadwell comes in. I don't know if they were really running. It wasn't totally dissimilar, but it wasn't really suited to a lot of his strengths. I think they had him running a whole hell of a lot more than he wanted to be running, especially maybe as Bud alluded to for the paycheck he was receiving. So maybe if he's in this offense and they're allowing him to throw it a bit more, he'll be happier and a little more effective.
Man, I think this is going to be really interesting because Pat Shurmur was brought in to run an NFL style system, right? We saw Shedeur a lot of pocket passing, right? Did not run much. Now he's got a weapon in Caden Salter, who we don't know how good he is just passing from the pocket. What's Lewis like? What's his skill set like? But is he dual threat? Is he more runner, more passer, or just?
He's more of a passer, Danny. Like he can run around a little bit, but it's like quick release, ball out, like efficient guy.
So then that feels to me like he's a better fit for what Shermer does and has done throughout his career for what they want to do. But you're asking a freshman to get up to speed. He has been there. I mean, practiced with them at the bowls, in there for spring. So I would say it's probably his job, just from the fit.
It's hard to be a pocket passer when you're 6 feet tall, though.
So,
Yeah.
Will Shepard's gone too.
Yep.
So
They're all
Draylon Miller and Omarion Miller, and then they got Adrian Wilson and Farrakhan, and then I mean that is. I'm not going to say the quarterback drop off is not as big as the receiver drop off, but they are comparable.
I would think the wide receiver drop off might be more.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's like
those are NFL wide receivers. Those are experienced NFL wide receivers that all played a lot of ball. So it definitely something to look at when you're thinking about the future of Colorado's offense. All right, let's open the board. What are some of the other quarterback battles that have your attention going into spring practice?
Auburn.
Okay, so Deuce Knight.
Deuce Knight is so raw to me. I'd be very, very shocked if he won the job as a freshman. I mean, to me, he's like an all upside type of recruit ranking. Like he is not somebody who, based on how he played in high school, is ready to step in and play right away. To me, it's like how much more can they get out of Jackson Arnold? How much is the Stanford kid they brought in actually going to play? Because if he plays, I'm like, I think I'm out on Auburn, right? If they unlock something with Jackson Arnold, and I don't think it's crazy to think that they could. I don't think Venables did a good job of assembling that offensive staff last year. And so how much do you put on Jackson Arnold? How much do you put on Oklahoma's offensive staff?
See, Jackson Arnold is a situation that we talked about earlier where if they're going to go get Jackson Arnold, I'm going to assume that's your QB1 in spring practice. And if not, then something has gone poorly for Jackson Arnold with his ability to acclimate and get, up to speed with what the offense wants to do. Like that is a spring practice that has not gone according to plan, the way that I look at it.
Agreed.
What do we think about Iowa?
Oh, it's Gronowski.
Yeah. God,
Okay.
It better be.
It better be.
If not, then yeah.
But when Brendan Sullivan came in, we got excited.
Yes, but it's
Gronowski.
It's over replacement. It better be Gronowski.
Okay. All right. Okay. What about Mississippi State?
I assume it's Chapin, right?
Right.
I would think so.
But like they also brought in Cromenhoek. I don't know. Like I think Cromenhoek's probably a sit guy, but maybe it's a battle.
And that was like really quick too. Was that like surprisingly quick?
Well, because LSU took Van Buren.
Okay. Another battle like under the radar that I think kind of matters because they had a bad season last year and their quarterback left. Maryland. I'm interested in seeing what they're doing there because they've got the kid that came in from UCLA, Justin Martin. But also like they're kind of high on the quarterback that's coming in, the Malik Washington.
Yes. Yeah, that's a like save Mike Loxley's job type of signing right there, guys. He's
great. So it's like I wonder if we could see because they had such a terrible season last year. I wonder if we could see them going straight with Malik because they feel like he has a higher upside that could deliver right away. Maybe not right away, but you know what I mean. Just like he's somebody who can maybe quote unquote save their season.
And they ease into it. Their opening schedule is FAU, NIU, Towson, at Wisconsin, host Washington, host Nebraska, at UCLA, host Indiana, at Rutgers. I mean, this isn't opening anymore. Like at Illinois, host Michigan State. This is the schedule that Maryland prayed for when the Big Ten East and Big Ten West went away. I was like, guys,
who is going to be getting who's going to be getting chewed out from Bill Belichick? Is it Max Johnson?
I think it's. I mean,
Kid
he is
from
separating from having his leg snapped. I mean, he's
Shootout or not invited to the beach dates.
Listen, I think that Bill Belichick obviously respects experience. He's looking for himself, maybe not in his partner, but like when he's looking for a leader out on the field, he wants somebody that's seen some things. Max Johnson has seen some things, so he's still not even like full. He's throwing on the sideline right now. Like it's we'll see, but unless they go hit the portal in the spring, it's either him or Ryan Brown from Purdue or Bryce Baker, the true freshman. I mean, I know that Sam Howell started as a true freshman in Mac Brown's first year, but even Drake May redshirted. So we'll see.
How much does the pieces surrounding the UNC quarterback matter here? Like, what do we think this offense is going to look like?
Not overwhelming anybody.
O-line is
fine.
Needs to be rebuilt? Okay.
No. I don't mean like good. I mean like
just fine.
Like we have one.
Like we're like ACC good. Okay. I mean, this is a conference where I think there's only 4 teams with win totals greater than 8 in the whole conference.
It's true.
I mean, I think North Carolina can, and the schedule sets up is so easy. I think the pieces around North Carolina are 7-win good. And if that's the case, Max Johnson probably gives you the ability to, gives you the ability to be a bus driver. I think so.
Is performance against your win total part of like the Rev Shoe formula? Rev share. Sorry, I said Rev Shoe.
That would be great if it was.
What? So if you exceed your win total,
yeah, like you get a bigger bonus. Like you get an extra percentage point.
Yeah, that's for sure. My assumption is it'll be Max Johnson, but I also believe that they're probably going to do some. I mean, they're doing no names, no numbers on the jerseys. Like it's going to be a thing, like we're going to be wondering who North Carolina's starting quarterback is on Labor Day when they trot out there for the season opener on ESPN. And it'll be as much airtime as Max Johnson, Ryan Brown, and Bryce Baker will have gotten, all season long.
Do you have to earn your tar?
Oh my gosh, I hope so.
There we go. Let's get those shirts. Earn your tar.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Jim Harbaugh, who's putting everyone's recruiting ranking on the locker to try to inspire greatness. You got to earn your name. All right. Got a few minutes left. In any other ones that we should have our eye on?
USC.
You don't think that's Jaden Maeva?
I mean, Longstreet's pretty good. I didn't see anything from Maeva that made me think he's awesome. I mean, like
that's fair. 100%.
He wasn't much better than Moss.
Longstreet was committed to Texas A&M, flipped to USC. That was a big part of it. They're in the state. I think Devin Brown probably wins Cal, but remember Cal flipped the Oregon signee.
Jerron, KSP.
Yeah.
Okay. But the last name is really hard for me to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of letters in it.
Huffman can get it. It's like
it's a Talele at the end. I know that we've got a Talele at the end.
Yeah.
I'll try to land that plane a little bit better once we get closer to the season.
Chip's like, please be Devin Brown.
Please be Devin Brown. No, but he's a super talented player and a good sign for new offensive coordinator Brian Harsin. So
the other thing on Devin Brown is like that's back-to-back kids who have come out of like Corner Canyon, that high school. They just put up crazy numbers in high school. So after a while, it's like, like Westlake had this for a while. It's like, yes, you're all putting up great numbers. You're all clearly talented because they're not going to accept a quarterback at that school who's not talented. Like you have to have some kind of baseline level of high school talent to win this job. But like, what are the differentiating factors? I don't know. I mean, there were wildly different opinions on Devin Brown coming out of high school. Like some people had him the number 1 player in the country. Now we had him as like a mid top 100 4-star, but like he might be awesome or he might be a miss by the recruiting industry. I don't know.
Somebody in the tailgate mentioning Syracuse. I would say the two names to watch there are Michael Johnson Jr., who was the backup for McCord last year, but they also got a guy from LSU named Ricky Collins. I think that's the battle to see who takes over for an offense that is losing LeQuint Allen or Rondé Gadsden. Like all of the production for that 10-win team is going to be gone. So a lot to rebuild there for Fran Brown's squad.
I'm trying to think about the guy. There was a coach who got off to a crazy hot start. This is probably like late 2000s, early 2010s. And it was like, yes, you started too hot, right? Because your schedule and like the timing was great year one. And then year two, like you had a big backslide in wins and losses. Like, are you really a worse coach right now? Or did you just lose a lot of guys and the schedule got a lot harder? Because there's some of that vibes I feel like with Cuse right now.
Mm.
You know, they're about to have a much tougher schedule.
I think you would still take the splash. If you were given the option at a place like Syracuse where you're fighting against so much already that you would take the big splash and ride it for whatever you can. So We'll see on that one. All right, you got any others?
Is West Virginia Nico? For like college fantasy purposes, this is going to matter because Rich Rod, he's going to run the hell out of the quarterback. Like whoever wins this job is going to score a lot of touchdowns.
I do think,
or at least a large share of the touchdowns. You know,
I'm not sure. I do think Bo Prabula is the guy at Missouri.
Probably yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. We'll, of course, be keeping you up to date on all of these as the headlines start to come out. In April, they might be getting rid of spring games, but we will get some scrimmages and some conclusion to be able to get better insight on how these battles go. Again, spring practice that already started or about midway through at some schools, but over the course of the next couple weeks, we'll really see it pick up with the end of April being the conclusion of the spring session. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.